It's possible they went fast and the communication was not ideal because you want to get going. And that's when something like the guy from Alabama shooting through like that happens. Easy enough for me to say. Dean Legge from Dogpost. It's a Freebird Monday. Let's talk about it and what we were hearing on Dogpost. There's that. You're going to need to be properly hydrated for this one. Our buddies at Freebird making this video possible. Southern spring water from the Blue Ridge Mountains up in North Georgia. Look, what we're hearing is pretty jam-packed with things today. You want to make sure that you're checking that out, and I'm going to talk about it. When you are, when I gather these, first of all, Sunday was a very slow day in terms of people picking up the phone or talking. And that happens sometimes after difficult losses. Georgia's not had a bunch of difficult losses through the years under Kirby Smart, but Alabama has certainly given Georgia losses every time but once with Kirby as the head coach. They've come into this game as the favorite to win it in 2025, 2024, 2023, 2021, and 2021. All of those games they've lost except one of them. So that's a problem, needless to say. And Nick Saban is no longer the head coach at Alabama. I thought that Alabama did a great job of playing the game for sure, but the coaching was they did a great job of coaching as well, no question about it. And the thing about it is that, like, the players got to make plays. Ty Simpson really played great. All right, so that was a lot of it. I mean, he's out there making plays with guys draped on him. Can they do that again? I would guess no, but they did on Saturday night. That might be the last time Georgia and Alabama play. It may be that Georgia has to go to Alabama. They may, Alabama could have to go to Athens. It could be that the two of them play in the Orange Bowl. I mean, we don't know anymore. It could play in Atlanta, which is their, setting du jour every time, it seems. But there was a fair amount of frustration coming out of this game, I should say, from folks that are certainly around the program, is the way I would describe it, more than inside the program. Folks inside the program, it's frustrating, but you got practice on Monday. That's like you just keep going. One person I talked with who I think has very good perspective. Acute perspective, not cute, but acute perspective. Acute meaning very narrow and very precise perspective. Said, that it was so hard to know what it meant, the game, because, like, if you lose back in the day, you were in a panic to win the rest of the games that you had left. If you lost now, you don't know what's next. And they also were pointing out that, it's so early in the season and there's such a long way to go. Although certain things don't quite look right now, that Kirby Smart does a great job of rallying the troops. But that person specifically said, that Georgia, the way they played at Tennessee and the rallying, the way that was for that team, that's hard to teach. So that person, in this case, really felt like that being ingrained into the players, or them already knowing how to deal with that is a massive key moving forward, and that will pay off for Georgia in a major way as time goes on. We'll just see. One person I spoke to who is very respected in the grand scheme of things was hopeful that Kirby would chill out on the discussion of fans. Because his notion was that it could get taken very wrong. And the quote there was, "Do you know the sacrifices folks are making to go to these games? I hope Kirby doesn't make comments about fans going to games. It's a serious sacrifice for some people." Yeah, it is. And I mean, the get-in price for that game was north of $500 for a ticket. And, you're talking about 93,000 people. That's a lot. And the thing about Georgia specifically is that, you're taking 40,000 people to Florida, 6 hours away from the campus. every single year to play a game. There is no better fan base than Georgia's. Ohio State has really good fans. They travel really well. Michigan has really good fans. I think Alabama has good fans. I think that they have had to be judicious with their situations lately because they've spent a lot of money over the last 15 years. But Georgia's spent the money the whole time, just like Ohio State has. And Georgia's fan base is as good as it gets in terms of being there for their team. I mean, it is exceptional. Every single year, they go out of state to play a game 6 hours away, and they have at least half the stadium, if not more. So that no one else does that. Oklahoma goes 3 hours away to Dallas, but it's not the same at all. I think the other discussion was that this people feel like this is not a great Alabama team. One quote was, "I thought that was the most average Alabama team I've seen in the last 15 years, but they were huge. They don't move like they used to." This is a person with NFL ties. So the kind of NFL world people just, they if they had played in the league, coached or have connections or whatever in the league, they kind of shrugged their shoulders about this. The folks that were more aggravated about it were, sort of college-based people exclusively, less so with the business of football in the NFL. But I think it's worth reading the article. You can read it. It'll cost you $1. I can put that on the screen. You can look at it below. You can just go to Dogpost. But again, we can't do these videos without Freebird. I mean, they've been our sponsors matter, whether I'm talking about Red Zone or Freebird or anybody. If you can support them if you can support us by supporting them, it makes a big difference for us. Because as I was talking about traveling, when the fans travel, well, guess who else is traveling? Us. And we're not owned by anybody else. It's just me. That's it. I'll drink to that, but it does cost money to travel, and Freebird's helping us out with that. Again, Mama always said, drink more water. It's very good, by the way, and it's not funky at all. It just tastes like water, and you don't always get that. I will say that, but look, I think there's a couple of different ways to look at this. Georgia played the game the way they wanted to play, which is a really good thing. They lost, though, which is really bad. The question moving forward is, can Georgia play the way they played Saturday night the rest of the season? I think they can, okay? This is where I get a little bit Disney on you. I think Georgia can play that way the rest of the season. You don't want to have the turnover. You don't want to lose a turnover battle every single time. You probably don't want 6 penalties. But can they play the style that they played? Yeah, they can. Can Alabama play that way? I don't think so. And that's not me hating on Alabama, by the way. I mean, when you play, as many games or matches as I did, sometimes people really play well. Alabama really played well Saturday night. And I'm not saying that to knock them down next. I'm not. Ty Simpson's better than people realize. And I wrote about that in Final Feelings and say, this guy's good. Okay. They're not playing the way they used to. I don't think they can. I think the way that they played Saturday night is their best way to have success, Bama, which is control. To try to control as much as possible. But can they convert 13 third downs? I don't think so the rest of the way. Now, the good news for them is they might not have to. They have a difficult slate. Georgia's got a tough one too. They've got the at Auburn, Ole Miss back-to-back. Georgia really, to me, needs to go 3-0 these next couple games. If you go 3-0, then people can chill out a little bit because you still have plenty of games left to lose after that. You still have to play Florida, Texas, Mississippi State, and Georgia Tech. Now, I would probably pick them to win all of those games, but I'm just saying there's no certainty there. So they need to, get the job done with these games and take it from there. But the folks I've talked with, they are aggravated that Georgia lost the game, no doubt, and frustrated, I guess is the best way to put it. And but there's not a bunch of bridge jumping at all. There's some frustration with the staff, but there is an understanding that this is a young team in a lot of spots. Again, I've talked about this, and I will repeat it. The people that made the most obvious, errors, if you will, on Saturday night were sophomores or freshmen, and that, that's what this team is. What it is, though. Like, you're not just going to come get a pass rusher. That's not there. They're going to have to develop somebody in season. Someone's going to have to take off. What you've got with some of these linebackers. That's got to have to be harnessed. That's up to the coaching staff to do. The players are who they are. They've got to develop them. As it relates to, excuse me, geez, hold on one second. As it relates to, the way Gunner played well. There is some worry that, he's not an elite person with his arm, which he's not. But, Georgia lost a game it could have won. And people, whenever they lose, there's always concern. And I think there's concern right now. The question is, the worry, I think, is what if they see Alabama again? Will they just do the same thing? Does Kirby overthink things? Does, I don't know. I mean, when you look at the Justin Fields punt fake, that was a gutsy call. The 4th and 1 in Sanford, that was a gutsy call. Neither of them paid off. I mean, Georgia was trailing in both situations. One was far more terminal than the other, which was the Justin Fields play. But, I was asking someone earlier today, do you think that Kirby, people know his calls because he has to make calls in big moments because that's the only time that they have to make those calls. Most of the other games, they are solidly winning. Or do you think that it's, or do you think he's just making bad calls and people don't notice it? I think that's a good question. I think for, you can think of like onside kick against South Carolina in 2017, I think it was. There are times when he does things and you're just like, what happened there? But I think at the same time, he's the head coach at Georgia. People watching this follow Georgia. They know every mistake that he's made. I don't know that the 4th and 1 was a mistake. I know what the result was, and it was not a positive one. I don't necessarily. I think it would have made the most sense to kick the field goal. He chose not to do that. People need to understand about Kirby that the logic that went into that decision makes sense to me. I don't think that means that you have to make that decision. So these things are all layered. Okay, situation, 3rd and 3, we picked up, or whatever it was, 3rd and 4. We picked up X. Maybe it was a first down. They didn't give it to him. They went fast. The decision was to go fast if you picked up X. So first decision made. Second decision, we're going for it. Third decision, this is what we're doing. We're going fast. Okay, 4th decision or layer is making sure everyone's on the same page. 5th is execution. 5th did not work. I don't know about 4th. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know. I have no idea. Zero. But, when you go fast, that's one more element that's added to the entire, onion, which is, can you go fast? Is everyone on the same page? Are we thinking? Do we need to think? So, I think the logic made sense. It just didn't convert it. And so I don't hate it. I think if you were 4th and 6, that would have been nuts. Of course, he went on a 4th and whatever, very short. I think 4th and goal, that play did not work, but they were holding Colby Young. So he, went for it twice. One worked out really well. One did not at all. And I think it's okay to not go for it both times. I'm not Kirby. I don't know. What happens on Saturday matters. And I'm not talking about them losing the game. They're not going to lose to Kentucky. What I'm talking about is, how do they look? Are they ready to play? No one feels bad for Georgia, period. They just don't. Why would they? So this is a situation where can they mentally get where they're supposed to be? Alabama plays Vanderbilt right after Georgia, 3:30. They can lose that game. Yep. So that's all of this is what's going on at once. And then globally speaking, now that the Alabama game, which I'm sure we'll still discuss in the future, are they getting better right now? Like, is Georgia getting better as a program? Can you tell by the end of October that they're better than they are at the end of September? And then can you be better at the end of November than the end of October, and on and on? That is the thing now. This is no longer about, I got to win the East. It's no longer about, I got to win the league, because you don't need to win the league. Ohio State did not play for their league championship and won the national championship. So this is about getting better over time. That's a new part. That's a new variable in all of us. Thanks for Freebird. Drink freely. Mama said drink more water. Check out what we're hearing on Dogpost. Thanks for watching.